All right, so today I'm going to make enchiladas and talk about homeschooling in Spain. But right now I have to cut a jalapeno, which honestly, I've never done this before. And it says remove the seeds, and I'm scared to death that I'm gonna splash some juice up in my face or something, because I bought canned jalapenos. Don't judge me. And they have a lot of liquid in them. So I got them separated from their seeds, and now I'm going to get rid of this liquid and seeds. So I have to chop this up and then chop up one onion and then saute it in the Instant Pot. Oh, and the recipe comes from this website called Number 2 Pencil. So if you just search Number 2 Pencil Instant Pot Enchiladas, you'll find it. All right, so while I'm dicing the onion, I thought I would go ahead and start on homeschooling in Spain. The short answer is, if you're coming here on a visa, you probably shouldn't try, especially if you care about getting your visa renewed. People have recently been denied their visa renewals because they were homeschooling, and so they couldn't provide the documentation from the school that the visa people want to see or immigration wants to see. So basically, the Constitution of Spain says that you have the right to educate your child according to your own beliefs, and people say that that includes, without stating that it includes this, but that it includes homeschooling, because it doesn't not include it. It doesn't say except for school at home or anything like that. However, there was, I don't fully understand it, but there was some kind of law passed here many years ago by the education department or something. I am clueless about how the government works here. So there's a law somewhere that was passed that says essentially that you cannot homeschool. So although the Constitution says you can educate however you want, there's a law that says you can do that, but it has to be in person and it cannot be at home. So there are Spaniards who homeschool. They have no problems homeschooling. The kicker for them seems to be just never putting their kid in the system. As long as they never put their kid in the system, they don't have any problems. If they put their kid in the education system here and then try to take them out, they will get reported and could have a visit from social services to ensure that they're not neglecting their kid, because here they consider your kid not being enrolled in school, in a school, not homeschool, but actually in a school, they consider it a form of neglect. And they'll come and do a visit and decide what they're going to do from there. Some people have to go as far as going to court, and others, they close the case and they're like, yeah, you're fine, you know. It just really depends on where you live and if you know your rights. So that's for Spanish citizens. It's different when you're on a visa, because each time that you go to renew your visa, they ask you, it's actually on the Spanish immigration website, that they ask you to provide a sheet that proves that your kid is enrolled at a school. And obviously you can't do that unless your kid's actually enrolled in a school. There seems to be a way that some people say that you can go and start the enrollment process to get the sheet, and then you get this paper and you take it, but then you don't finish the enrollment. And I guess if you want to do that, you can, but you're really risking your residency visa. For us, we care about in extending our visa next year. We want to be able to do that. It really matters to us because we want the 2 years of legal status here so that my kids and husband can apply for citizenship. So we don't want to get denied next year for any reason. So we are going to, or have already enrolled our oldest son in a private Montessori school. Because it's private, there's more flexibility. So it's not a public school where I have to adhere to, you know, their rules or whatever. So this particular school is an approved school by the government. So that gets us on the clear with them for that. But the schools here actually, a lot of them get out at 2 o'clock. And this particular school is going to let me go and get him at 1. Now, I think eventually he's going to want to stay until 2, but I'm just really glad that I can do 9 to 1. Being that we're homeschoolers, it's already going to be a big change, and I just, you know, on the merits of schooling in an institution versus homeschooling, I would rather him be homeschooled. So I don't want to just throw him into a situation where he's being educated by someone else all day long. It's not my preference. So what I intend to do right now is, he's already finishing 2nd grade as a homeschooler, although he's not the age of a 2nd grader. So he's going to basically be going through 2nd grade again at this school. Of course, it's a Montessori school, so they're in mixed age classrooms of 6 to 9-year-olds. So it's not like they say, oh, you're in a certain grade or whatever, because they're all mixed. But I know that he will be basically learning, you know, that 2nd grade material from a Spanish point of view. So his challenge will be learning the language. Now, I understand why they don't want you to homeschool, because when you come here on a visa, you usually say you're coming because you want the culture, you want your kids to learn the language, and really the best way to learn the culture and the language here is to put them in school. And especially because there's no homeschool community here for you to put your kids around. So that's kind of what I was faced with, was I want him to be integrated here so that he can be here long term. He can benefit from the price of college here. And he really can't do that if he doesn't learn the language, like totally fluent, and the culture. So since neither of my husband are from Spain, he doesn't speak Spanish with the Spanish accent of being from Spain with the th sound and all that stuff that they do. He speaks Latin American Spanish, so it sounds different. So basically, in order to, you know, benefit him in the long term, we decided we would give it a try, and hopefully he likes it. And if he doesn't, then once we renew our visa the first time, we won't have to renew again for 2 more years, so we can make some changes at that point if we decide to. Well, I have the onions diced, so I'm going to do the next steps. So there's the onions and the garlic and the jalapeno. Okay, young man, what do you think about starting at a school in September? You did a tryout. They let you do a tryout.
Yeah.
What was it like? What did you do? Okay, I thought you said I could ask you questions. All right, well, they let him do a tryout. So he went for 1 day. We went and did a tour. And then we did a tour with no kids, no teachers, just the director. And then we went and did a tour. He went and did a trial day. And he had basically 3 hours, and I stayed there. And he had 3 hours there where he went into the classroom with the kids, and they welcomed him. They showed him around the classroom. So I'm putting oil in the pan, and then I'm going to saute the onions, garlic, and jalapeno. So put the Instant Pot on saute. I love the Instant Pot because you can saute and then pressure cook. So they did an introduction, showed him how to use the materials. They had him do a sit down, kind of like give him the opportunity to do some work. He did a 9-chain. And then he went outside. They have a natural yard. So basically, when you come here, if you want your kids to go to school, or you don't want to, but you don't want them to go to a traditional public school, all the public schools here are Catholic, and so they will get, like, they have to go to mass, or they can maybe choose not to. But you know, if you're saying like your kid is the only kid that can't go, like, they're probably gonna feel like a little out, like an outcast or something. So I didn't want to put my kid through that, and I don't want him participating in that. So you can look for what's called alternative schools here. which this is an alternative school, and so they do things differently. There's no religion in it, and they do things differently, and they can be more flexible with their requirements and what they allow you to do. Like, I can take a trip, I don't have to get approval. I can just say, we're gonna be out of town for a week. So it's gonna mix our homeschool life and what our homeschool life was or is, or I might continue homeschooling from the with the US stuff in the afternoons. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, if you come here and you look for alternative schools in the city that you're going to, there's a website, I can't remember the name of it, but it comes up with that search, alternative schools in Spain. You'll find like Waldorf schools, Forest schools, Montessori schools, all kinds of schools. You just want to make sure that they're approved, because you need that letter from them. I don't know if you can get by with using a letter from a school that's not approved. I didn't want to test the boundaries. Like, there's a Waldorf school here, but it's not approved by the state. So I didn't want to take chances. If we're going to put them in school and make them go through that transition, we want to make sure that it was an approved school. So alternative schools here do not mean the same thing as they do in the US, where you're talking about like an A school where a kid's been kicked out of school and now they're going to an alternative school, but it's actually a different type of school, like an alternative to the traditional thing. So this is going to be ready for me to saute, and when I come back, I'm going to talk about what I know about what I've learned so far, which isn't much, about the public school system, how you can find out what schools are available, what spaces are available, and how you register for that. All right, so there's a website that you can go to for your autonomous region. For us, it's Aragon. And they actually have, well, I mean, I'm assuming that it's the same for all regions, but I really don't know. But here in Aragon, there's a website you go to, and there's a spreadsheet, and it will tell you how many spots are available in the schools. So if you've just moved here like we did, a lot of the spots are full, and then you look and see where there's spots available, and then you can call that school and ask to go tour it. And then, but you actually do the registration online, and I haven't done it. All I know is that that's what you do. I just haven't actually done it. I don't see a lot of the public schools here with kids in uniforms or anything like that. And a lot of kids, like I said before, they get out of school before lunch. Lunch here is at 2, so they would go to school from 9 to 2, and then they would get out, and that would be it. So that's a pretty short day compared to what I remember in public school in the U.S. And, you know, I think that there's an option for some kids if they want to stay for lunch, if the parents are working or they need to stay for lunch, and then they can be there for the last hours of the day doing after school activities or maybe other subjects. But it's not necessarily required. So if you care about it, you would want to find a school that gave the option to do a day that ended at 1 or 2 o'clock. And then you can, if you want to see what public schools are available in the area that you're going to, just look up your autonomous region, and then like public schools or something like that, or go to the public schools that you see listed on Google Maps. And when you go to registration or how to register, they'll direct you on that website to where to go. Like, there's a website that they should send you to, because I saw this repeatedly on multiple different websites. School websites, where it said this is what you do to register. You don't actually register here or with us. You go to this other website and you do it all through the system, and then it only takes, like, if it's the middle of the school year, it would only take a couple of days for your kid to be able to start school. So I guess that's good if you're coming here and you want your kid to start school right away. It wasn't for us, so I just sort of avoided the whole thing until summer. We went and were able to actually tour places at the end of the school year, and you know, we just are continuing homeschooling until September, but school's out now, so it's not a big deal anymore. And but yeah, there were places still available. You might not get, you know, your preferred school, But if you want your kid to go to public school, it's less expensive. You do have to buy books still, and not uniforms usually, but some of them do have uniforms. But you do have to buy books and like supplies and stuff like that. The books are not provided for you, but so that's different. But anyhow, if you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can get the answers for you, or maybe I know the answer. I don't know. I'm still new here, and I'm new to all of this. This is my first time doing it, my first time ever putting my kid in school, so we'll see how it goes. All right, we got our chicken all cooked with enchilada sauce, and the enchilada sauce just added the cilantro. Can you see? So now I'm gonna shred the chicken and then fill up the tortillas, put that in a pan, and then bake it, and we'll be done. We're trying to plan a trip this week to either Andorra or Portugal. So I'm gonna make sure I take some videos so you can see what that's like too. All right, so see you later.